Hello guys and welcome to this glorious video. My name is Bam Havoc and I'm going to start off by saying Planetside2 versus DUST514. I've had a lot of requests from my current DUST514 subscribers asking me if Planetside2 is actually a good game, what's it about, how it plays, and so on and so forth. And I've had a lot of questions from my new subscribers asking me what DUST514 is, because they've basically said, Bam, your channel is dedicated to DUST514. What is it about and why are you playing it? I will try and answer these questions for you now, and I'll start off with a common phrase from a lot of current DUST514 mercs. The phrase is basically, this is what DUST514 should have been. It should have been what PC is and what PC is imagined to be. I completely disagree with that, and I'll tell you why just after I explain a little bit of history about both S.O.E Online Entertainment and CCP Games. Now, to start off with, it's actually not called S.O.E Online Entertainment anymore. As we all know, it was bought out by a company called Columbus Nova and then renamed Daybreak Game Company. S.O.E Online Entertainment was responsible for games such as EverQuest 1 and 2, The Matrix Online, the original Planetside, Star Wars Galaxy, Clone Wars Adventures, Free Realms, Vanguard Saga of Heroes, DC Universe Online, Planetside2, which we're discussing now, and H1Z1, which I believe is in alpha now. It was founded in 1998 in San Diego, Cali, in the US of A, and yeah, that's a basic brief rundown of the actual company itself. Now to CCP, the developers for DUST514, or rather Crowd Control Productions. That was founded in 1997 in Reykjavik, Iceland, and is very famous for a game called EVE Online, World of Darkness, the current alpha stage EVE Valkyrie, the never talked about Project Legion, the Project Nemesis, and DUST514, which we all know and love. Believe it or not, it has very similar tones when it comes to Planetside2 and DUST514. And when I say tones, I'm talking about both games start out where a bunch of people went through a wormhole, the wormhole shut, and they're stuck on the other side, and they all started warring with each other. Now, Planetside2 has three factions, as we all know, called Vanu, Tan Republic, and New Conglomerate. Vanu are sort of the self-righteous zealots that we all know and love. Tan Republic are the stiff upper lip, rigorous militaristic bunch of people, and the New Conglomerate are a splinter faction of the Tan Republic, all about free love and freedom and fighting for what's right and all that jazz. Where it comes to DUST514 and the EVE Online universe, there are four factions. They're the Amar, the Minotaur, Gallente, and Caldari. And how these four races interact with each other was that the Amar enslaved the Minotaur, and the Caldari are a splinter faction of the Gallente. Not believing what the Gallente are. Freedom, justice, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. The Caldari are very stiff upper lip, very militaristic, very corporate. Whereas the Amar are very, the self-righteous zealots, and the Minotaur are the tribes people, the tribal wanderers and stuff like that. The only reason how the Minotaur managed to break from the Amar was when the Amar got too big for their boots and took on the Jove, and the Jove absolutely hammered them. And that basically forced the Minotaur to break from the Amar. That's a lot of history behind that lore of those bits and pieces of games. And the lore on both is actually, again, very similar. Although S.O.E Online Entertainment, or rather Daybreak Game Company, hired a graphic novelist to actually help flesh out the story of three races, the story of EVE Online and DUST514 is actually far deeper, written by the actual players and gamers themselves. For example, who here has heard of an epic battle on Planetside2? Your silence is both overwhelming and deafening. I haven't heard once of an epic struggle between the Vanu and the New Conglomerate duking it out on a contested continent for days, weeks, months. Whereas in DUST514 and EVE Online, who here hasn't heard of the Battle of Caldari Prime? Who here hasn't heard of the Battle of B-R5RB, where $300,000 worth of pretend internet spaceships were lost? That's like 75 Titans, a smattering of motherships, and a whole lot of battle cruisers and so on. Who hasn't heard of that? Who here hasn't heard of Burn Jita, which is basically the aftermath of Monocle Gate? And if you don't know what Monocle Gate is, basically Monocle Gate was an update built by the developers as furthering the game and all these new cool things and this, that, and the other, meow, meow, meow. Turns out wasn't so much. They were actually furthering their wallets rather than furthering the game, because nothing in that update actually helped progress the game. It just helped progress CCP's wallets. And the gamers, or rather the EVE players, realized this and took the developers to the wall, because the microtransaction model was stupid. Speaking of the microtransaction model, both Planetside2 and DUST514 have a microtransaction model within their game structure. You know, we have to keep the developers fed, we have to keep the game developed, and we have to keep the game moving forward. But enough about the microtransaction models. Now we're going to talk about the gun game and movement mechanics. And believe it or not, I'm actually not a Q&A tester in the real lives. I'm just a random dude who likes drinking beer and playing video games with his friends on the lines. And to me, Planetside2 feels the better game. It feels more rounded, more developed, more fleshed out. Whereas DUST514, not so much. It doesn't feel as fleshed out or well rendered or so on. But I can't really hold that against DUST514 because Planetside and Planetside2 has been going for the best part of 10 years, whereas DUST514 has been going for about 3. So I can't really hold that against either. I'm not going to base my verdict on that. So what do I mean by Planetside2 being the better fleshed out game? Well, when you're running around Planetside2, you feel nice and weighty. Object moving through space, you're actually holding a weapon that actually fires and so on. Whereas in DUST514, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like you're moving a point. It doesn't feel like you're moving anything. I will say this though, both gun mechanics feel pretty similar. Why I say this is because when you're firing a weapon in Planetside2 and DUST514, it feels like you're firing elastic bands at the person, and whoever fires the most elastic bands more accurately wins. It doesn't actually feel like you're actually firing a weapon. It doesn't feel like that to me. I think it's got a lot to do with the actual gun animation and sounds while the weapon's firing. It just does. It feels like you're just firing a plastic gun. Although for me, both weapon types in DUST514 and Planetside2 handle pretty similar. It just doesn't feel like I'm firing anything worthy of mentioning. And you know, that's basically what it comes down to, really. The gameplay, the gunplay, and so on. But if I had to base my decision on which game to pick, I would probably go for Planetside2 because it is the better game. More rounded, better fleshed out, so on and so forth. But to be brutally honest, it's empty. Planetside2 does feel very empty. It's just a continuously rolling battlefield. You take 5 districts in Planetside2 to come back on tomorrow that you now lost 6. You know, it's a never-ending battlefield that's very empty, very thoughtless. You just, you know, but having said that, again, the battles are pretty intense. I've come across 15 tanks on one battlefield, all duking it out for 1 point. Whereas in DUST514, it's almost the exact opposite. You've got the story, you've got the richness, you know why you're there, but you're probably just going to spawn in for the points you get at the end of the match, and not contribute to the game at all. I do feel Planetside2 is the better game all round, but it's empty. Whereas DUST514 doesn't necessarily have the game, but it's got the story. Rather than picking between the two games of which is a better game, I offer you this conclusion instead. For me, gaming is not about what game is good, what game is better, what game has this, what game has that, this, that, meow, meow, meow. For me, it's who I game with. I game with my buddies. I game with buddies in the land of Canada, in US of and A, in Russia, in South Africa, in Australia. I game wherever my buddies are, I game. And 9 times out of 10, it's a pint of beer, shooting the shit, talking nonsense, having a laugh, having a good time. That's what gaming is to me, having fun. If you're having fun in DUST514, play DUST514. I play DUST514 because I have fun in it. If you're having fun playing Planetside2 and want nothing more to do with DUST514, play Planetside2. Game with your buddies, game with your pals. That, my friends, is my final verdict and my conclusion to this. Wherever your friends are, you are. Game with your friends and have fun. It's not which is the better game, it's where your friends play. If my buddies and pals were playing Battlefield 4, I should can both games and go play Battlefield 4. Because I know I'll have a good time with them. So yes, that is it, guys. That is my conclusion for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I've been told I need to start saying things like this, so forgive me because I don't often do this. Please comment, like, and if you want to, click that subscribe button for more videos and awesomeness that I can only imagine. Most of it's going to be beer and bacon. So yes, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers, guys. Thanks.